Hi, in this video, I will show you how to create web page layouts using CSS Grid. We will be using CSS Grid property, Grid template areas. My name is Chris Mutuma from eKitch Programming. Let's begin. So guys, I have already set up my markup, which you can see the results of my markup on the browser here. So if I go back to my Visual Studio Code, you can see that I have linked my style sheet. I've given the title, and then I've been able also to create our layout here. So we have our container that has container elements, that is the header, the left, the middle, the right, and the footer. All right. So we want to achieve this kind of layout. This is what we are going to design and be able to come up with this. So already my markup has no CSS styling apart from the resets for the margin and the padding, and then I've also set the width of the HTML on the body to 100% and the height to 100% as well. So the next step is now to style this container by setting this container a display of grid and use of grid template areas to assign these elements to their corresponding, or rather to their positions on our layout. So in this, I'm going to type the class name, which is container. That's what we want to style. Then the container, we are going to give it a display of grid, not inline, grid. Okay. Then we are going as well to do now our grid template areas. All right. So a short way of writing grid template areas is GTA, pressing tab, and it will give you grid template areas. And then now our grid template areas will go in between quotation marks. So just press enter and create some identity so that we can see what we are working with. So I'm going to type header 6 times to create our first grid template areas. First grid template area, so 6 times. All right. Then the next one, which we need to mirror this, so you can see we have the left, the middle, and the right. Okay, so how do we achieve this? So to achieve that, we are going to come back and do left twice, right? Then we do the middle, and then we do the right, so which gives us a total of 6. Then we're going to do the last part of our grid template areas, which is our footer. One more. So guys, you're going to see the usefulness of using grid template areas. Grid template areas, by giving them these names, will help us when we will be designing our responsive side of this layout by placing these areas according to how you want them to appear when they are on mobile view. So we are going to see that. Then we are going to give a grid gap, GG tab. You can give a grid gap of 10 pixels. And guys, you know, grid gap is the gap between the columns or the gap between the rows. If you've explicitly or you've defined the rows or the columns, and for us here, we've defined the rows here. So, okay, now we move on. So the next thing now we are going to style here is we are going now to style each element. Okay, each element here, we are going to style this and make sure that we set the grid area and give it the name corresponding to the area that we want to place that item. So for this first item, which is header, for navigation menu, where navigation menus go, where a search button can go, where that is a search text box and a button, where maybe we have a social icons, they can go there. So here we are going to give them a grid area, which is GA short grid area, then header. Okay, so we are giving this header the template areas of header. So meaning that now this part will be the first part of our grid template areas. Then we are going to give our grid area header a background color. Okay, so that now when you give it a background color, we will be able to see exactly what is happening. So we are going to give this a very nice dark color, or rather kind of gray color. All right, I'll go with 3B, 3A, 3A. Okay, we shall see how that looks, and then I'm going to give them to give it a height of, let's say, 40 pixels. Okay, so if we come back to our page here on our web browser, you can see we have created the first. So if we inspect this by right clicking on our web page and going to inspect, and then we go to layout here, there is this part for grid here. You come there and you can see we have one grid container. When you click on this grid container, let me change these colors. You can see that we have, let me just turn a few things off. Yes, so to make it visible. So you can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 columns. Okay, and remember again, there are things that we call tracks. These are tracks, all right. And then also we have the grid lines. So we have the grid column lines and we have the grid row lines. So the ones that you're seeing labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so those are grid lines. So now we've been able to create our grid with these six columns, and there is a 10 pixels grid gap that we've created. This space here, this is the grid gap. Okay, now let's move on. So now we can style these others so that they can fall into where they need to be. So now the next part, now we are going, the next item we are going to style is the left. Okay, so we come over here and do dot left. And then on this top left again, we do GA, which is our grid area. And now this is left. Okay. And then so we have to give them a background color, which now the color for this one now will be different. I'll give it a DB, and then kind of a light gray color. All right. Now this one we're not going to give this a height here. So I'm going to copy this and paste it twice. And then I'll change this to middle. The next item, which is middle, and then now we give it the grid area, which is middle. Okay, then we change the color for this one as well. This one will carry the E2B4BD. Okay, E2B4BD. All right, then come to the right section. Right, then now this right as well, we are going to give it a color so that we can see the difference. So BBB. Okay, then we are going now to go to footer, do our footer here, then we are giving it footer here as well, and remember to change this to right as well so that we can have the correct grid area. Then now go now to our footer. Now our footer, we are going to share the same color as the header. Okay, so let them have the same color, and then we're going to give it as well a height of 40 pixels as well. Okay, so if we go back to our document, you can see on our web page, on our browser, we can see we have this layout here, but it's not looking that pleasing, right? You can see there is this huge space here that we are supposed now to make sure that our footer is always at the bottom of the page. So for us to be able to do that, we need now to come to our container here and make sure that we give it a minimum height, give it a min height of 100 view height. That is the viewport height. Okay, remember we've given here a height of 100% to the body and the HTML. Then now the footer itself, we are going to give it a margin top as automatic. So if we come back now, you can see that our footer sits at the middle. Okay, our footer rather now sits at the bottom of the page, and now that is the view height, that is the viewport height of our layout here. Now the next thing that we need to work on is this content area. So I can see my mid row here didn't pick the color that I was supposed to have, which is E2B, because here I gave 2 dots instead of 1. So if I refresh that, yes, now we have the color. That's awesome. Now the next thing now is for us now to give the left, the middle, and the right, give them a minimum height as well, so that we can have, they can take up the space where they're supposed to be. Okay, so dot left, then dot middle, then dot right. So this one we're going to give a mean height of 300 pixels. Let's see what we get. Awesome. Now you see we have almost similar to this, but we are still working now. So the next thing now I'm going to do here is make sure that now I turn this to a grid area. Okay, we make them grid areas. That is, we display them as grid, so that now we can be able now to put this into them into vertically center and horizontally center, or all of them. So to do that, you are going to go to our nav here. Sorry, on our Visual Studio Code here, and the thing that I'll do is I'll pick all of them, that is the head and the footer, just put them here. Currently, let's go to the bottom here, that will be better. That is header and footer. All right, then now here we display grid. All right, then we do color, change the color to white, then we do align content, and do center. All right, let's see what that does. So that's not moving. Okay, am I using the correct one? Is it align content? Let's do justify content center. Let's see what that does. Yes, we go again and do align content the center as well. Let's see now if that works. Yes, perfect. So that's working very nice. All right, then go back to this left, middle, and right as well. We do display grid. Okay, so guys, you can see here we are not floating anything. That's the best, rather the advantage, or rather the pros of using CSS grid, other than through the normal way we've been doing things by use of floats, positioned. Yeah, so this is a better way of doing it. All right. Then again, you can even increase the font size for this. You can do font size for this as well, and give them 20 pixels. Let's see what we get. Yes, which looks okay. All right, so guys, now the next part now is the responsive part. So you can see if we resize this browser window, they are still they are being shrinked, but we don't want that to happen. We want them to go, rather, to change the position, yeah, from the x axis to the y axis. So how do we do that? So that's the next thing. So come here, we'll do, let me just comment here, responsive styling, responsive styling. All right, then here we're going to use our media queries at media screen, and so we are going to do here max width, since we are coming from the desktop to the mobile view. All right, and I'll just give a 700 pixels. Then in here, we're going to style our container, because that's what we're interested in, making sure that everything that is our grid template areas, we are going to use our grid template areas to be able now to make it responsive. So I'll go and say grid template areas, and then as usual enter for easier reading. So here we're going to do header. Header will be at the top. Don't want our header to be anywhere else. Then we want our left to follow that. Then we want our middle to follow that. Then we want our right to follow that. And finally, we want our footer to follow that. So guys, with this, you can see through use of grid template areas, it makes it easier for us to do a lot of, we are able now to explicitly use the grid template areas during our responsive design, making it easy for us. Okay, So if I go now and do our resizing to anything below 700 pixels, you can see what is happening. So the header, then the left, then the middle, then the right, and then the footer. Again, it will depend again with the size of your data, of which now again we can come in and try and change our. Okay, let me just copy these guys here. Copy that. Copy that. And then here we'll do a minimum height now. We reduce the height to maybe 200 pixels. Yeah, for our content. So if now we go again, you can see at least now we have a smaller height for our uh, left, middle, and right. So basically, this is how to create a layout using CSS grid template areas, and make your layout responsive as you do it. So guys, I hope you learned something from this video. Give us a thumbs up, go and comment, share a comment as well. Also guys, subscribe to eTeach programming channel. So thank you for watching and see you in the next one.